Alright guys, it's JCTheSniper back again, and today I'm bringing you a review of the Buck Bantam folding knife. And this is one of the Bantam series knives right here. These knives are pretty cool. They're not real expensive. I picked this one up, it was on sale, but I picked it up for 20 bucks. At Bass Pro Shops. They're normally 30 for this particular model in the forest. I don't know what exactly that camo pattern is, but with the camo and the this size, the BLW, they're normally 30 bucks. So anyway, I got it about 30% off, and I thought that was a pretty decent deal. So philosophy of use for this knife is pretty much an EDC knife. It's not going to be much more than that. It's just, it's just not really a tactical folder. I guess you could use it for that if you had to, but once again, I'm saying that because I say it all the time. You know, just about any knife could be used as a tactical folder if you had to. But, you know, most knives you aren't going to want to employ in a tactical situation. So, EDC knife, the size is decent. It's like just over 4 inches closed. The thickness is a little bit on the tall side. It's a little bit thicker than, you know, a lot of other knives. As you can see, it's thicker than my Cara. And significantly, well, not significantly, but it's thicker than the Evo as well. So it's not real thin for its size. If we went and compared it to the Kershaw Vapor, there's a pretty big thickness difference there. So it's kind of thick for its size, but it's not, you know, bulky by any means. And the weight is really good. It's 2.4 ounces, and that's because this is a thermoplastic molded handle, and it's fully honeycombed on the inside. So this is as light a handle as they could put on here. There's no steel other than what's necessary for the lock and the blade, and then this is just a piece of plastic that's been honeycombed out. So it's very, very light in that manner, and that's you know, that's pretty nice. Now if we compare that to the Kershaw Oso, this thing's 4.6 ounces, so considerably, you know, it's about half the weight of a Kershaw Oso. So that's kind of cool. Steel, I'm not overly impressed with. This is a 420 HC stainless, so not the greatest steel. I'm just not that big of a fan of the 420 series steels. I think they're cheap, and they are fairly cheap. And they perform okay. They just don't retain an edge very well. They are easy to sharpen. You can't really get them razor sharp. Well, you can, but they just don't take an edge like some other steels. I much prefer the AUS 8 or an 8CR steel, like this Kershaw Oso. It's got the 8CR 13 MOV, which you can't read the blade stamping with my camera, but it's on there. That's an 8CR 13 MOV. The Bird Caracaras, also 8CR 13 MOV. You know, some of those knives, I just prefer that 8CR steel, or even the AUS 8 steel I prefer to the steel, the 420 series steels. You know, they're just not that great, and that's part of why they're cheap. Very similar stuff to what's used in you know, the Gerber knives. They tell you it's surgical stainless steel, which basically means, you know, it's mystery steel, and when they say that, it's probably pretty close to a 420 grade steel. But, you know, it works. It's not the worst steel in the world. It does hold an edge reasonably well, and it is easy to sharpen, so, I mean, I guess it's valid. Blade shape is kind of, you know, I like this blade shape. It's a hollow ground, about a 3/4 hollow grind, and there's a non-functional swedge for about the half length of the blade. That's not sharp, but you could sharpen it, I guess. That'd be kind of cool. Only thing is, it's a folder, so you're going to have that poking out, maybe cutting things in your pocket. So I probably wouldn't do that if for an EDC knife, but you know, I guess you could if you wanted to. So yeah, just a regular drop point blade. Has a decent amount of belly, so pretty good for slicing and cutting stuff. Speed is not the greatest. I've just botched the flip open. It takes a pretty good amount of, let me get these out of the way. It takes a pretty good amount of flip to get the thing to come out. It's just takes a good amount of wrist action. I mean, you can do it, it's not that difficult, but if you try to do it without much wrist, it's just not easy. So I don't know, I think they made the spring on it a little bit too tough as part of the issue, because it just snaps back in there quick once you get around here, and it's in there good, like it's pretty firm. I think that's most of what happens, what makes it hard to get out, because it's really difficult to push it to that point, especially at the angle you have to have your hand on this handle. So the speed's not great, but you know, for an EDC blade, it's not that big of a deal. And that's one reason that I'd probably advocate it more as an EDC blade. Lockup is pretty good. It's not wiggly, as it came from the factory. It locks in good, and it is a lockback design, which I'm a fan of. I like lockbacks a lot. They're very strong, and I think they're reliable, and I can use them well and quickly, so I like them. I prefer them to a lot of other types of locks. So I like the fact that it's a lockback, but like I said, that spring tension I think is a little bit too high. That could probably be a little bit weaker spring and it'd be okay. One thing I will note is that this handle is of the pinned construction variety, so it's pinned together, which means you can't adjust the tension on any of these parts or take it apart really for cleaning it, because it's all pinned together. So if this blade did come loose, you couldn't tighten it. I don't know that that would be an issue. Mine hasn't come loose, but it could be, you know. You just don't know. And if it is, you're kind of stuck. Handle material, as we talked about, is a thermoplastic, just a molded thermoplastic, and it's fully honeycombed on the inside, so it's very light. And that should be a durable, weatherproof plastic, so I think it would be it's a pretty decent handle material. And though I don't know what they've done to it, but it's almost like they very finely pattern, like it's almost like a matte finish, so it's actually fairly grippy even though it's not textured. So it's not bad. Ergonomics are actually really good. I like the way it feels in hand, holding it wise, because it's got this nice finger choil here, and then curve back to a bump in the rear, and it just curves down nicely even back here, so it lays in your hand good. It has some basically pointless jimping things here on the back of the blade there, which it won't focus, but you can see those little bumps. They're stupid because they don't do anything. I mean, I guess you could tell where you're getting to the edge, but basically pointless. Not really going to accomplish anything. But the finger choil up here does give you a pretty good grip on it, so sliding up's not really a problem. And also the fact that you can plant that in the back of your palm. So I don't think gripping it and keeping it from sliding forward is an issue. They also give you some little jimping things back here, which I guess you would use if you were to turn this in reverse grip. Once again, they're basically pointless, but you can lock your hand in pretty good for a reverse grip too if you want. So you could make some decent attacks with that if you had to. Okay, sorry for the weird cut, guys, but my camera died. So anyway, ergonomics are good. The lockback, you know, it's fairly easy to activate. There's no jimping to be spoken of on the back of the blade. Well, there's no jimping at all, so there's that. The thumb stud is not bad. It's a little bit difficult to dig out because it's right here by the edge of the thing, so not the easiest thumb stud to activate, but it's not bad, and it's not uncomfortable, so I won't complain about that thumb stud. It is ambidextrous, however, I don't see it'd be very, very difficult to activate this way, because the clip is in the way. So that's a little bit irritating if you were to try to do that. It does have a lanyard hole, which is of a decent size, so if you wanted to put a lanyard on it, you can. And yeah, I guess that's about it for ergonomics. Clip design is not bad. I mean, it works. That's about it. Nothing fancy. It's a little bit weak, honestly. The clip is. As you can see, it's very easy for me to pull it up, and it doesn't snap back down very tight. You know, some of my other knives, like this Cara, that clip is like I can't even dig it up at all. I mean, it's really tight. Plus, you got the texturing on the back of the thing. You know, my Vapor, can't pull that clip up with my finger either. So, you know, in general, it's going to be difficult. It should be difficult to take your knife and pry the clip up with your finger. And if you can, it should plink back really strong. This one doesn't do that. It's just weak. So, as you can see there, it doesn't even contact the knife. Now, it did when I got it, but just from clipping it to pants, it's bent it out, because it's just not a very high quality clip. It's just too weak. So they missed with the clip design. Also, the way this clip is designed, this thing rides up high in your pocket. That much of it will be sticking out, which I'm not a big fan of. I prefer the clip on the SOG knives, where it rides as far in your pocket as possible. And I wish every knife had a clip like that, but as you know, and I know, they don't. You know, my Cara's fail that way too. There's a big chunk of that sticking out. You know, most knives are going to fail that way. So, anyway, that's not a huge hit, but it is a hit. Value of this knife is decent, but not stellar. It's a good knife. I wouldn't hesitate to buy one. I would think it'll hold up reasonably well, and they're not that expensive, so you don't have to worry about trashing it. However, if I were going to buy these knives, it's kind of in the same class as a Gerber pear frame. Both about the same price, you know, similar sizes, similar weights. I'd go with the pear frame. Personally, I like it better. It's a stronger lockup design. You can actually take it apart and tighten it. The clip is stronger. I just think it's better designed all around. I'd rather have a Kershaw Vapor than a Buck Bantam. I would also rather have an Oh So Sweet than a Buck Bantam. And all four of these knives are in pretty much the same price range. The two Kershaws are heavier, and these two are lighter. So if you want a really light knife, maybe go for the Buck. But if you're not too worried about it, which I'm not, I'd go for one of these. Or if you want a light one, I'd go for that. The only advantage you get with this is the camo, and you can actually get a camoed version of this now, so that's not a big advantage. Anyway, decent EDC blade, Buck Bantam, JCTheSniper's review. Alright, see you guys later. JCTheSniper, signing off.